Hey guys, welcome to this Station Trading 101 video. Now, the idea behind station trading is very simple. You buy low and you sell high. That's all there is to it, and I'll explain exactly how we do that in a second. But firstly, there's a few things you need before you get into station trading. The first one is time. You don't need a lot of time. If you're one of the people who can only afford to log on a few hours or minutes each day, that's fine. You can make station trading work for you if you trade in items that aren't that high volume. However, station trading works better the more time you put into it. So if you really want to be chasing stuff, high volume stuff like minerals and ice products, you really need to be watching your orders like a hawk. You need patience, because there will be people out there who undercut your orders or overcut your orders within seconds, and this will frustrate the shit out of you. So you need patience. In terms of in-game stuff, you really need skills. So let's take a look. Basic skill, trade. You want this at level 5 pretty much as soon as you can, because it gives you 4 order slots per level. The next one up from that is retail. This gives an extra 8 per level, and essentially the more orders you have, the more order slots you have, the better. The other two skills that are important for station trading are accounting and broker relations, because accounting reduces your transaction tax and broker relations reduces your broker fee. Transaction tax is something that happens every time you make a transaction, as in whenever you buy or sell an item. So whenever a buy order is filled, you get transaction tax taken off that, and whenever a sell order is completed and you finally get rid of that ship you've been trying to sell for 3 months, that's when transaction tax happens. The broker fee happens when you create the order. So both of these cut into your profit margins, and therefore getting accounting and broker relations up to 5 is really important, and it should be done as soon as possible. Another thing you'd really want ideally is good standings with the faction that owns your station in which you're trading. And if you're like most station traders, this is going to be Jita 44, and Jita 44 is owned by the Kaldari Navy. So ideally you'd want to have run some missions for them to build up your standing a bit, because that reduces your broker fee. That's really it in terms of skills for station trading specifically. All the rest of the stuff is regional, so we don't need to worry about that. And really the last thing you need after skills is capital. You need money. If you're a new player, this means run the starting tutorials, build up some cash, however much you can get, and then start small and build your way up. There's nothing to say that starting with 2 million ISK you can't get to 1 billion by the end of the month. It's entirely possible, and it's been done. People have written blogs about it. However, the more you start off with, the quicker it'll grow. So that's all we need for part 1 of what you need. Okay, so let's take a look at the tools of the trade, as you might say, that you'll be using for station trading. So you have the inventory window, which is just where stuff will be coming and going as you trade it. When you're done with it, you shouldn't really have anything in your inventory, because it should all be on the market or being bought from your buy orders. Wallet. Journal and shares really aren't useful, especially shares. Journal you can load and it'll give you market transactions, but not in as much detail as the transactions tab, but journal also does include taxes if you want to see how much money you're depressingly losing to the taxman. The most useful tab here is your orders, and here you've got everything that you're selling and everything that you're trying to buy. I've sorted them in descending order and ascending order respectively, which matches how the buying and selling are organised in the market tab, market window. Also, the market window gives you some useful information down here. Gives you your maximum orders you can have and how many are still available. Your total ISK and escrow, which is to do with margin trading, which I won't go into right now. Your base broker fee and your base transaction tax, which are both modified by your skills but not by your standings with the corporation of which you are in the station. And then your sell and buy order totals, which is essentially the amount of stuff, the value of the stuff in ISK that you're trying to buy and the value of the stuff you're trying to sell. Then, the market, the most important window of all. So, usually when you use the market, you see this browse bit. This has recently been merged with the search tab, where you just type into this box here and it'll come up, and it's really useful, so props to CCP for that. The way you usually use these is you go through here and you click on a category and it pops up with, well, a better example is here. It pops up with a bunch of pictures and text. This is not what a station trader uses. A station trader uses the details tab, and in order to use the details tab you need to click on any one item, and then it'll show up all the buy orders and sell orders for that particular item. Groups is not really what you're going to be going for. Details tab is where it's at, and market data. Price history with the graph is also relevant, but I'll get into that once we talk about how to decide what to actually buy and trade. So market data, you have your sell orders. Usually for everyone they're sorted in ascending, and then your buy orders are sorted in descending order, and that matches up with what you've got here in your wallet. Probably the most useful feature for station traders in the market is here in the settings tab, this little checkbox called mark my orders. As you can see, it says marks your own orders with a blue background. This reduces the need of, in the past, having to put in your own buy or sell orders with a signature sort of decimal value. So like 0.39 was what I always used to put in, so that I could attempt to tell my own order apart from everyone else's. So as you can see here, pretend this is before having our own orders marked. I couldn't be able to tell easily which one of these orders was mine. I'd have to look through and say, oh look, there's 0.39, that looks like it's mine. However, now with that new feature, if we go to any item that I've got an order in, voila, it's blue. And this makes everything so much easier. So yeah, make sure you've got that on, mark my orders. Another really useful thing to have on is the quick bar. This is essentially a list of everything that you want to trade. You can make folders for it, so you just do that by clicking new folder, enter name, trade, whatever, and then you can drag, currently it's got nothing in it, but you can drag stuff into it, and then drag stuff out of it like that. To add something to the quick bar, say you're browsing and you're feeling a bit adventurous, so you say, fuck it, I'm going to trade redeemers, for whatever insane reason you'd want to do that. Actually no, looking at the margins, they're not too bad. Oh well. Right click whatever you want to trade and say add to market quick bar. Going back to the quick bar, you'll say, hey look, it's a redeemer. And then you can put that into the trade folder or whatever, And another useful thing the quickbar has is add additional text. This allows you to add any additional text, funnily enough, to any entry in the quickbar. So you could say, for crazy trades for the Redeemer, because you never know. And then that'll appear there, and in actual fact this is more useful for putting in minimum values that you don't want to sell your stuff under, or maximal values that you don't want your buy orders to exceed and stuff like that. So yeah, in terms of the other information here in the market data tab, you have the jumps, which is essentially how far away this item is being sold. If you're station trading, usually all the jumps will say station, or most of them. There are exceptions to this. For example, the low-end ore minerals are always going to have a lot of jumps at much cheaper prices before you actually get to the ones in station, but that's just how it is. Quantity, not really that difficult. It's how much of that thing's being sold, and in terms of buy orders, how much of that thing someone wants to buy. Price, self-explanatory. For the buy orders, expires in. Now, this will be relevant when we actually create a buy order, but this is essentially when it expires. Usually this time limit never arrives. You can tell like these people have put it at 90 days and it's gone down to 77, so they've been holding it for ages and it's not filled, but it doesn't cost anything to make a buy order with a huge duration, so it doesn't really matter. Location, also pretty self-explanatory, and this is the expires date for these sell orders. Now, for buy orders, there's two extra columns. Minimum volume, so essentially how many of a Redeemer you need to have to sell it to this buy order. Pretty much everywhere this is going to be 1. Wherever it's not 1, it's usually a margin trading scam, but that's something else entirely. And range. Range is essentially how far from the station where you've placed the order, in this case G244, can you fill that order. So for example, this order here, in fact its central location is Uryonen, wherever that is, and has a range of region. So this guy is happy for anyone in the entire Forge region to sell him a Redeemer for 624 million, and it doesn't matter where they are in the region, that buy order will be filled by them selling it. And then the same thing applies for the 5 jumps, so anywhere within 5 jumps of Jita, this buy order will be fillable. And then you always have the joke orders down the bottom, like 44 mil and 757 ISK, and these can be pretty much safely ignored. Yeah, that's pretty much that for the market and wallet windows. So next up is going to be actually choosing what to buy and placing an order. Okay, so now we have the fun part, actually choosing an item to buy and sell and trade. Now the way most traders do this is they go to the Browse tab, they open up Ship Equipment or Manufacturing Research, and they go through every single bloody item and look at its details and see if it's worth investing in. If it is, they put an order in. If not, then not. If you're going to be serious about station trading, you will probably eventually have to do this. It's just the way it is. There are thousands of items out there being traded, and there are probably some hidden gems that are less well known than the common ones and can make you a lot of ISK. I know that's happened for me. But let's start off with the basic things you want to look for. So, for example, Barmer Series Tracking Disruptor. Let's have a look at this one. Very first thing you want to do is, when you're looking at an item, calculate its margin. So that's the lowest sell price divided by the highest buy price. Doesn't have to be extremely accurate, so just 499 divided by 372 is good enough. This gives 1.34, which means there's a 34% difference. This is huge, relatively speaking. 34% is a really good margin. I mean, if you think of it purely in terms of if you invest 100 million into something that gives 34% return, then you get 134 million out of it, which is really good. For me personally, I don't tend to trade anything that has a margin less than 9 or 10%, because it's just too small. And the lower your tax skills are, the bigger that acceptable margin will have to be, because tax cuts into your profit margins a lot if you haven't got the skills up. So, right, we know there's a 34% difference between the highest buy and lowest sell, so that's good. The next thing you need to check is volume. That means you go into the price history tab and you look at these green bars down the bottom. As you can see, they seem to sort of balance out at around 500 units a day. Before I get more into this, I'm going to explain this whole price history graph. So, first things first, light green bars at the bottom, daily volume. This is how many of this item have been traded in that one day. Bear in mind, this is a combination of both buy and sell orders. So when it's an average of 500 a day, you can assume pretty safely that it's going to be probably around 250 buy orders and 250 sell orders. So, based on that, you can actually calculate a sort of expected profit. If you manage to flip 250 Barmer series tracking disruptors, and each one earns you about 125,000 ISK, you can calculate that. Well, hey, 31.25 million ISK profit. Technically, that's if you catch all of the Barmer series tracking disruptors going through JITA in this one day, which is unlikely. So that's probably a theoretical maximum. Divide that by another 2 probably to make it more realistic. But anyway, back to the graph. Down here we've got the time frame for the graph. If you go to the smallest ones, 5 days and 10 days, the average lines will try to give you a prediction. Most often this can be pretty reliable if the item, like this tracking disruptor, is relatively stable. These lines have absolutely no value when it comes to items which are being modified by CCP on a patch day, because by that point the items will be fluctuating wildly as people speculate, and the whole thing goes to shit. You can go all the way up to a year, and you can see there was a massive drop around the 1st of May this year. Definitely patch related, can't remember exactly what it was. And you can see around that time also the volume picked up. But that's not at all useful for station trading, that's just a fun little fact you can find out by looking at the year graph. I tend to stick to the monthly graph because that's still a small enough time period that I can see individual daily volume, and just because it gives me a relatively good idea of where the item might be headed. The rest of this stuff on the graph, the yellow dot is the median day price, which is just the median average of how much every Barmer series tracking disruptor was sold and bought for. The yellow lines above and underneath are the highest and lowest value that they sold for on that particular day. These are intimately related with the Donchian channel, which is this maroonish type thing. As you can see here, the low value here pushed the Donchian channel out to there, and the Donchian channel stayed there for 5 days. because the Donchian channel is a 5-day thing. In fact, it's better illustrated here. You can see it was pushed all the way down to just under 300k, and then Donchian channel stays there until it resets itself after 5 days. I'm not an economist, so I'm not sure exactly how it works in great detail, but essentially it's just an indicator of how volatile the price is, as in how likely the price is to screw around and go wild. The more important ones to look at are the moving day averages. So the red line takes the past 5 days value of the average and averages that out and then plots it there, and the green line does the same for 20 days. So essentially they're showing long-term trends, where long-term in this case is either 5 days for the red line and 20 days for the green line. So really they're useful for seeing where the price might be going. If they're relatively flat, then it's a pretty safe bet. If they're both going down, then really you probably don't want to be putting your money into that item. For example, ice products recently got hammered by the changes to all the mining stuff. As you can tell, the price has gone pretty much into free fall for that part. Slight recovery, but yeah, not something you really want to be putting your money into right now. Also another one that's going down. Yeah. On the other hand, you have stuff which is really stable. For example, this capital armor repair. I mean, that is a thing you want to see as a station trader, the price staying pretty much the same over the past few weeks. You know, I'd feel pretty comfortable putting money into that. Capital shield booster, in fact this is going up, it's even better. In general, you'll be trading these items too quickly for the price change to really affect you, but I just feel safer knowing that if I've got an order up for something, I'm not going to suddenly lose money if it descends really quick. So I only really tend to go for stuff which has got either a flat line, like here, or something that's going up, like this. So yeah, that's the price history graph. One last thing, you can right-click anywhere in it, and you can hide... you probably don't want to hide volume. You can hide the Donchian channel if you find that's annoying. You can see the yellow lines a bit better now. You can hide those, hide min-max, and you've just got the dots. If you don't like the dots, you can hide median day price, and you've just got those. Me, I just like showing them all because I don't actually know enough about them to really feel the need to hide any. Yeah. So, now that we've actually done that, we can trade an item. So, give me a sec. Okay, so remember how I said the whole premise of station trading is buying low and selling high? It's essentially built upon the laziness of people. When someone comes in to Jita with a hauler full of mission loot, they ain't going to bother right-clicking each one, setting up a sell order for maximum profit. What they're going to do is say, right-click, sell this item, they'll see this little window, and they'll sell it. And, well, essentially there what I did was I sold it to myself, so I wasted tax money, but you see the point. When a normal sell order is processed, as in one that that isn't advanced, that's simple, what happens is that the order, the top order at the very top, the one with the highest price, is filled. In this case it's mine because it's the one in the blue, so I got my own item back, and I just paid the sales tax of 5,600 ISK. So, what station traders do is they accumulate this stuff, they accumulate the buys for this lesser price, and then they put them up on the sells. And the sells come into play when people come in and they want to buy new stuff for their ship, or buy stuff at a cheaper price in Jita and ship it off to Reach and trade it somewhere else, and all these good things. So we are the people who flip stuff from down here to up there, and that's why the price difference between these matters so much. So that's the normal type of selling. So I just got a bunch of cruise missile launchers. So first off, you need to actually set up the order to accumulate these items, and the way you do this is just by saying place buy order. Down here you'll see, usually what you'll see is this. This will automatically buy from up here, and that's not what you want. You want to get stuff from down here. So you want to click Advanced, and then change this to be slightly higher than the top buy order. So in this case 750, 110 for example. Quantity. This should be both within probably around half of the daily volume, so around 250, and if you can handle that in terms of how much ISK you have. So 250 of these would cost 188 million ISK. I don't really want to put that much into just this one item, so I'll put in 25, and that will cost 18,890,000 when all the items are bought. Duration, there's no penalty for setting longer durations, and there's no point in setting shorter ones, so I just go for a month, because no orders of mine have ever stayed up for that long without being either filled or cancelled. Range is station, because we're station traders. We don't want items to be in any other station, or let alone any other system, because then we'd actually have to go out and get them. And minimum just means how many of these items you want to be sold to you at any one chunk. You always want this to be one, otherwise someone with just one pseudo-electron containment field can't sell it to you, and that's pretty much pointless. And then once you've got all this, you can say buy. This will just pop up telling you how much this order will cost in broker's fees. You'll notice that it says 0.73% rather than the 0.75% it says in the market window, the wallet window for the broker's tax, because it's taking my standings into account. You can put that, you can click yes, and then the order appears up here. So now any pseudo-electron containment fields will be sold directly to me. Now, once you've got one, you can right-click, View Market Details to bring up the page if you haven't got it already. Sell this item. This is a normal sell, you don't want that, otherwise you'll just end up with your own item again. Advanced. Now, ask price is the most important one, obviously, 988.698, which is just slightly below this one. Quantity will automatically be set to however many you have in the stack. Duration, month, yeah, that's fine. And broker's fee is 100 ISK. That's a minimum value. If you put it, 97698.9. Broker's fee is 7,000-ish, which is minimal. So it's no big deal. Once you're all happy with that, click sell, and then this is just waiting for someone to come along and buy it. And yeah, that's pretty much how you buy and sell stuff. And just to illustrate the point, I'll do it with these two items I picked up while that was going on. So right click, View Market Details. You can see I've already got some going on. Right click, sell this item. Put in the price, 5028983.5. One quantity, duration month. Yep, that's all good. And now for the cruise missile launcher, View Market Details. Right click, sell. 1149999.5. This time there are 6 of them. Same thing, sell. And once you've really built up a list of things that you regularly buy and sell, really the only thing you do is go through them in your orders tab in your wallet, checking them constantly to make sure they're at the, well, for buy orders that they're at the top, and for sell orders that they're at the bottom. Just quickly, a mention about wallet and market shortcuts. So if you've got a sell order here that you want to check up on, you can just double click on it and it'll appear in the market. Also in the market you can right click on any one of your orders and you can say modify order. So say if I wanted to reduce this by a bit, I could make it 959. Another useful thing is if your mouse is a scroll wheel, you can scroll down or up and it changes the numbers for you, and it's really quite useful if you only want to change your order by a little bit. And once you've changed it to what you're happy to, you can just say OK, and that'll be updated there. And yeah, you can double click on anything. In here you can also right click and say modify order. It's the same as if you say in here right click modify order. Another thing you can do, and you'll probably need to do at some point, is cancel orders. So say I want to cancel this order, right click in here, cancel order. This won't work in the market window, so right click cancel order and it'll just go away if you refresh the window, no blue. Yeah, and then you can replace the order if you want. Yeah, that's pretty much station trading. Well, the basics of it anyway. So, hope this was useful, and hope you enjoyed the video, and there might be more of these coming out soon. So, good luck and good profits.